Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Bit of a, should we say strange? That sounds a bit harsh. Bit of a different one today. I have been lent this £24,595 motorcycle from the very kind people at Harley-Davidson Oxford in Abingdon, so thank you very much to them. Give them a shout if you fancy test riding this beast. But today's question, I'm a bit baffled. I'm not quite sure what this machine's about. It is a big touring Harley-Davidson with the 114 Milwaukee 8, the biggest engine Harley do out of the box. It's got big panniers, big hard panniers on the rear. Come down here so you can take a closer look at those. You can fit a lot of stuff in there to go touring with. Very comfortable seat, but we'll go over all of that in a bit later and the specs a bit later. But then coming up to the front, they've done away with any wind protection at all. Any of the sort of fog lights, moustache fog lights at the front. So it's sort of neither here nor there. It's sort of touring at the rear, naked motorcycle at the front. Okay. It's a bagger, it's going for the custom bagger style, but I'm a bit baffled by these bikes, so let's take it for a ride and just basically find out what it's all about. I'll give you some specs in the video, and then at the end of the video, I'll let you know if I like it or not, basically, and really what the point of it is and if it makes any sense at all. Stay tuned, let's go for a cruise. Alright, one thing about this which is quite fun, Oxford Harley have fitted some Vance & Hines slip-ons. And I must say, it sounds rather nice. So good start. It's not too loud actually. I was debating on the way over here riding, I didn't have a look, as to whether they actually were aftermarket pipes, because it's not ridiculous, you know, on some Harleys you could just get crazy sounding exhausts that are too loud. This is actually nigh on perfect. Good start on the sound. Well, first off, we'll try and get out of this junction here at some point so we could take her for a ride. There we go. And we're off. So let's start off with the engine, the obvious point on these Harleys. And excuse me, I don't even know if I said what model bike this is. It's a bit of a giveaway with the writing here, but very unprofessional of me. It's the Road King Special. The Special, what you're getting the 114. Whoa, Nelly. Concentrate, that is a dodgy corner. Well, the brakes work, that's good. What was I saying? That was a bit distracting. The 114 engine, you're getting a standard with the Special, and that's the biggest engine Harley do as stock. Near enough 1,900 roughly cc V-twin with 93 horsepower and 158 newton meters of torque, so it's got a lot of punch to it. Now excuse me, I'm distracted because I hate waiting behind traffic on motorbikes, so let's just overtake this lot and I'll catch up with you in a sec. Okay guys, my sincerest apologies before we got rudely interrupted by that traffic. Oh, and it looks like we're going to get it again. Okay, got rid of the traffic. Let's try that again. I'm not sure if this bike has had a stage 1 or a stage 2 even. I've got to be honest, I don't know that much about the different stages that Harley do, but this thing rips. Absolutely throws you back in your seat. Now, I've ridden the Lowrider S and the 114 engine before, but this thing is just absolutely lovely. I don't know what they've done to it. I think I'm gonna have to ask Oxford, I'll confirm, but I think they've been tinkering with this bike. It feels so smooth and it is pulling like a freight train. This is the nicest Harley-Davidson engine by far I've ever ridden. This is what you dream of. It is as good as I'm making it out to be, this motor. It's perfect. Anywho, so me assuming it's been tinkered with a little bit, perhaps a stage 1, the motor, goes without saying, is fantastic. It's just I'm a bit confused about this bike. You got floorboards, big old floorboards down there for touring. Very comfortable, don't get me wrong, you know, you can move your feet around, get comfortable. Big panniers. It's a big bike this, but zero wind protection up front. So it's an interesting proposition, shall we say. When I look at it on the website or see videos of it, I do think, like, I don't know, man, like, what is the point of this bike? I'm not quite getting it. It's neither really touring nor sort of take out for a day ride or sporty riding. It's sort of in between. So what's the riding position like to start off with? I mean, it's a big bike. I'm 5'9". I'm sort of average, a little bit below average height, I guess. Let's call it average. It feels like a big bike. It takes a little bit of getting used to when you first hop on. You know, classic Harleys, they're not built for complete sport practicality, are they? So it takes a while to get used to the riding position, but once you're used to it, this is actually one of the more comfortable Harleys. The seat is really comfortable and cushy. The floorboards help massively with your foot positioning, and the handlebars aren't too extreme. They're actually quite sort of easy to reach to. I've got a small bend in my arm, so the riding position is nice, and of course you're really low down to the ground, so I can easily flat foot it on the ground, of course. So far, so good. It's not completely weird as I was expecting. If we get onto the handling briefly, oh, if I can get over that engine, you just don't need to change gear. It's amazing. So it's a big bike, this. It's a heavy bike. Look, it's not a sports bike, but it's actually fairly confidence inspiring, and I'm going to go so far as to say it feels pretty planted on the road. The suspension's sort of not soaking up these bumps, but it's dealing with relatively well given the size. Now, I'm not sure if it's down to the suspension that's quite good or this seat that is just ludicrously comfortable and really well padded. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. It's quite a comfortable ride, and it handles, given the looks of the thing, it handles very well. Let's just leave it at that. So another little thing, but I always like this, the wing mirrors, often on Harleys, can be a little tricky to get right, but these are great. Immediately jumped on, just a little fiddle around with the wing mirrors to set them up, and I'm looking just a little bit at my shoulder, but other than that I've got a great view behind. That works, that's practical. Right, let's find somewhere to stop, and I'll go give you the specifications, just the raw specs, so if you want to stay for that, then catch that. But after the raw specs, I'll give you my final conclusion as to whether this is there any point to this thing? Does it make sense? I will let you know, because I'm very much still on the fence with that. Also, I'm going to let you know a bit of a benefit of this bike as well that I've already found out, I've noticed already, that's quite cool. So yeah, catch you in a second. God, it pulls, it really pulls. Right guys, quick fire round of the specs, and then I'm going to go straight into a couple of unique things about this bike that make it quite special, whether for worse or better. It's quite an interesting one actually, that's unique with this style of bike, so stick around if you want to hear that. If you want to hear the specs, stay for that. If not, skip the specs, go to the interesting bit. But here are the specs. Engine, 1868cc V-twin, 93 horsepower, 158 newton meters of torque. Like I say, if this is a standard spec, this engine is just phenomenal. It is perfect. It's by far the best Harley-Davidson engine I've ever ridden. I think it must be a stage 1 or stage 2. Excuse my naivety on that, but it's smooth, it pulls like a freight train. Yeah, it's perfect. Loving the engine. Okay, let's deal with the stuff up front. You have 49mm dual forks up front. You have dual discs up front for braking with 32mm 4-piston calipers. Big old anchors on it, and as we found out earlier at the beginning of the video, the brakes work quite well actually. They're not sharp. It's a lot of weight to carry around. We'll get onto the weight in a bit, but yeah, there's your specs for the brakes. More than adequate. Okay guys, onto the rear components. Can't see much, you've got these big old panniers in the way. These do come off easily enough. I'm not going to do it now, as I don't want to put them on the gravel here and keep nice paintwork, but they do come off easily enough. Okay, so your rear shock, you can adjust, is hand adjustable on the rear here. Brakes, again, you have a single disc with a 32mm 4-piston caliper again, so it's a quite a heavy old brake on the rear as well there. Again, it's a lot of weight to carry around, so you need some big brakes to bring her to a stop. Like I was saying earlier, the suspension is a nice setup. It feels, if I was going to describe it, feels quite planted, and surprising how it's soaking up these UK roads here. Honestly, it's a good setup with the suspension. Also, the seat helps a lot. This is the most comfortable seat I've ever sat on. Okay guys, seat height 695mm. I am 5'9" top to bottom with a 32-inch inseam leg. I mean, you can easily, of course, reach the floor. It's a very low seat height, meaning you're able to balance the bike okay, but when you're riding on the road, you got your feet up on the foot pegs. It's a lovely, cool, laid back, you're close to the ground, that classic cruiser riding position. Let the traffic go by. Okay guys, last but not least, spec. Quite an important one, especially with Harley-Davidson, is the weight. So coming in wet weight, ready to run, fueled up, 366 kilograms. She's a heavy girl, as expected. It's a big touring Harley, come on. We know these are heavy bikes, so no problem there. Again, I'm going to mention the handling, suspension setup. When you're on the road, it feels planted. It doesn't crash around with all of that weight. Feels really nice to ride on the road. Right, stay tuned. Gonna go for a ride, give you my opinion. Is this a pointless bike? Still potentially. I'm gonna go over a really unique feature I personally like about this Road King Special. Oh, listen to her purr. Okay, unique point about this bike, which is, to be honest, pretty obvious, but it's worth mentioning because it is the very point that sort of potentially makes this bike a bit pointless, like it has no purpose, it's neither here nor there. But the biggie, you've got the panniers obviously on the back, you've got the comfort of the seat, the riding position, the floorboards, all of the touring essentials. But unlike a touring bike, there's zero wind protection at the front and no screen. So you're just getting all of the elements, you're getting all of the wind blasts, the smells, everything. There's nothing blocking your riding experience. In a funny way, you're sort of getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a really capable, comfortable, big touring Harley, but with the visceral experience of riding a smaller bike with the wind in your hair. Such a bad saying on motorbiking because you have to wear a helmet every time, but you know what I mean. You're getting all of the visceral experience as well. My overall conclusion of this bike as to whether it is pointless, I came in, I gotta be honest, with thinking it is a bit. It's a bit weird, I'm not on board with it, but the more I look at this bike, and I've been filming it all day and taking pictures, etc., the more time I spend with it, the more I'm absolutely falling in love with this machine. It has just been so nice to ride this around on a sunny day, knowing I'm on something really unique. Every time I get off it and look back at it, I think, oh, that is cool, that is a brave look, you know. It sort of doesn't make sense, which makes it all the more artistic and look nice. And along with getting the visceral experience from the lack of wind protection. Now, as I'm sure you know if you know the channel, but if you don't, I ride motorbikes for mental health. A lot of a reason, not just, but a big reason to riding motorbikes is for benefiting my mental health. And a big part of that is the visceral experience of riding a bike. When you have a big windscreen in front, etc., it takes some of that away. But on this, you're getting that. So yeah, overall, I think we're gonna have to end the video there. I can't see much else to go on with. Overall, it's a really cool machine and it's completely changed my mind about baggers, really. I need to get out there and try a couple more, perhaps an Indian one, but wicked cool, stupidly cool bike. I suppose it is a bit pointless, actually, but that's what makes it so good. That's what it's all about. Cheers, bro. It's fantastic. I need to speak to Oxford Harley, see what they've done with the engine. If they haven't, then wow, bravo Harley. But I'm assuming they've done a little bit of something with it, maybe just a free-flowing exhaust or something, but it runs really nicely, as I've already said. Anywho, this has completely opened my eyes up, even more so to big Harley cruisers, because what a day I've had on this machine. Right, I'm banging on now. Thanks so much for watching. As always, shout out to mental health awareness. Perhaps a reminder, if you know someone you think may be struggling, or you have an inkling that someone may not be feeling so well, then reach out to them and just say hi, you know, have an honest chat with them, because trust me, that does make a big difference. Even if you don't get much of a response, it is very nice to know people are thinking of you. So there's a bit of a deep one for today. Thanks all so much for watching and enjoying the videos, and see you in the next one. Ciao Bella.